I call this meeting to order. It is the Duluth Public Schools ISD 709. It is our regular school board meeting. It's Tuesday, July 18th, and we are at Duluth East High School for our monthly regular school board meeting. So I've called the meeting to order, and the second thing on our agenda is a roll call vote. And tonight, all votes will be done by an individual call, and we always do roll call that way. So, Clerk Zadowski.
So do you want me to take attendance?
Attendance, yeah.
Okay.
I do roll call.
Okay, great. Member Eater.
Present.
Member Kirby.
Here.
Member Loeffler.
Here.
Member Lofall.
Here.
Member Oswald. Here. I'm here. Member Sandwell.
Present.
Superintendent Magus.
Here.
Assistant Superintendent Bonds.
Present.
Deputy Clerk Kazunich. Excused. So I thought I saw her. And then Executive Director of Human Resources, Teresa Severance. Here. Board Secretary Paquette. Here. Perfect.
I think that is a great roll call. So our third item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm looking for a motion to approve our agenda.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Member Loeffler Kemp has made the motion, Member Eater has seconded, and it is a roll call vote.
Member Eater.
Yes.
Member Kirby.
Yes.
Member Loeffler Kemp.
Yes.
Member Lofall.
Yes.
Member Oswald. Yes. Member Sandholm.
Yes.
Passes.
Member Oswald reports that her screen is all black, and I can see that there. The owl doesn't seem to be filming for her.
Why did she tap her body too?
She's over here.
Oh. That's probably, I had to raise the body a little bit.
Looks like it might be coming from the laptop there, the camera, rather than through the owl. She can't see us. Sorry. I think sometimes we have the laptop on the table so it faces out at least. Whatever works. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great.
So have we voted to approve the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. So moving on, we are looking at number 5 on our agenda, school and community recognition. And this month we do not have an item for that. So now we're on to public comment. And do we have a speaker tonight? So we have no public comment tonight. Going on to number 7 on our agenda, reading, communications, and petitions, and we have none. And so we are quickly on to number 8, which is the report of our superintendent.
Great, thank you. And I was not prepared to jump on that.
I know. I think we're all, what? Member Loeffler Kemp.
Just a suggestion, the superintendent's getting ready, we're starting our first fiscal year of July 1st. Maybe it would still be good to read our new mission and vision and core value statement.
Yes, great. I actually have that in my first slide of my presentation, so I'll pull it up so it can be displayed too.
Excellent.
Just one moment. And actually, my intention is to have
Mine's away.
part of each You embody the mission and vision core values, so you fit right in. You should move over so you're under
Just go like this.
Never
Under
Just go like
excellence.
this. You know.
Is it like this under excellence?
Yes.
There you go.
So we have worked hard to craft our mission, vision, and values, and we do have this as a reminder of each of our meetings as a school district for our administrative meetings and other meetings. We try and ground ourselves in this. And our new mission statement is every student every day will be empowered with learning opportunities for growth, creativity, and curiosity in preparation for their future in a global community. And then our vision is Duluth Public Schools provides an academically engaging, safe, and inclusive environment with high expectations and responsible use of resources. And we'll be talking about responsible use of resources quite a bit today. And then our core values, we have those listed there as well. Would you like me to read through them? We have learning, which is develop a love of learning through lifelong inquiry. Excellence, having high standards for all through accountability, integrity, and authenticity. Equity, which is creating conditions of justice, fairness, and inclusion so all students have access to the opportunities to learn and develop to their fullest potential. Collaboration, which is working in partnership with staff, families, students, and community. And belonging, providing a welcoming and accessible environment where everyone feels safe, seen, and heard.
We might want to use the microphone as we continue our business tonight because the sound is not easy virtually.
Sure.
And then we thank you for reading that, and then we have a board member that will read the 11 tools of civility. And so if you can bring that to Member Kirby, that'll be great.
Is it on?
Here you are, sir.
Better? Okay.
All right, the 11 tools of civility, as encouraged by the Speak the Peace, the Civility Project. So this school board recognizes 11 tools of civility that will provide increased opportunities for civil discourse in order to find positive resolutions to the issues that face our community. These tools include pay attention, listen, be inclusive, don't gossip, show respect, be agreeable, apologize, give constructive criticism, take responsibility, be honest and care for others, and show your evidence, share your reasoning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I'll turn it back to Superintendent Mega's report.
Tony.
Thank you. So my topics for tonight are relatively brief. Just a few reminders about our strategic roadmap, and then quite a bit on our referendum updates, and just opportunity for question and answers
Bring that mic a little closer.
related to such things. So, as you recall, we have our strategic roadmap, which is linked there, goes into great detail about what we intend to do over the coming months and years. And this is something that was produced in deep partnership with students, staff, and families, and really focuses on what are the desired daily experiences of those students, staff, and families. So the new mission, the new vision, as we know, came from all of that. But then also, within that, we have our 3-year operational plan that really goes into great detail about what it is that we need to do to accomplish and achieve those desired daily experiences. So as we move forward over the next few years, we really have to think strongly about what are the resources that our system will need to achieve the vision that we've set forth. We've set forth a bold vision, but it's based on what the community said that they wanted and needed from their schools. And so when we think about what resources we need, that's why there's such a link between these areas. And really, if we think about our strategic initiatives for this year, and we'll be reporting at a future board meeting with each of our action cards, we're really going into deep detail about supporting every student, academic MTSS, which is multi-tiered systems support, and also supporting every student, social, emotional, behavioral needs. We'll also focus on what we're doing related to advancing equity and improving systems. When we think about capacity and programming, this has a definite impact on the programming that we have for our students. the business services work, as well as the recruiting and onboarding from our human resources department. So the community, the students, the staff, and the families have told us what they want and what they need, and they've put it forward to us as far as how are we going to get there. And so really, when we consider seriously the possibility of moving forward with referendum, it's based on that. It's based on trying to deliver on what the community is asking for. But of course, it does come down to the taxpayers and the community voting to say, is this what we believe will be an investment in that future? But I think it's really important that we link the two together, because the needs that we have within our strategic plan are really clearly linked to the resources. And that's one thing when we talk about fiscal responsibility. When we look at the questions we're asking on our referendum, we try to focus on not asking for more than what we needed, and trying to ask the questions in a way that had less economic impact on the community, because we know that the situation with taxes and other things it's impactful for our taxpayers, and property values going up, and those are things that we really weigh heavily. But in doing so in a fiscally responsive way, I think we can better meet the needs of our students. So, as you know, and we talked about it quite a bit during our committee of the whole, we're coming to the end of our ESSER funding. We're reaching that ESSER cliff that we've talked about and that many districts have talked about. And you see throughout the state, throughout the country, there are lots of layoffs and program cuts and things like that. And we are at that situation where we're going to have some impacts as we move forward. We also had the biennium budget passed, and there were increases in funding, and many of those areas we're very grateful for, but they don't necessarily have the same impact on the needs that we have. So they don't necessarily focus on technology replacement and things that we're finding that we need for our students as well. So as we assess our current situation, we need to consider what would it mean if we move forward with a referendum, and what would it mean if we don't move forward with a referendum. And tonight's information that I provide within my report really focuses on this for greater clarity of the board, but also for the public as we move forward. So we're seeking a 2-question referendum, and I think that that's where things get kind of interesting, a little bit complicated. So because they're intertwined really. The 2 questions are, one, a question focused on technology and critical programming needs for students, and that will be described in upcoming slides. But the second question focuses on bond restructuring, and that is basically a strategic aim to optimize our financial resources, reducing debt burdens, and allocate finances more efficiently throughout the district, considering our long-term goals. Through this debt restructuring referendum, we would seek support and engagement of our community in making informed decisions about the financial future of the district. This process would ensure that stakeholders have a strong voice in shaping the financial stability and educational opportunities for our students. So really, those 2 questions are very much interlinked. The bond restructuring is part of the financing of the technology and the programmatic needs. And I'll show more about what that means as we move forward. So what would be the impact of a referendum passing? Well, what this would do is it would provide much needed resources to achieve those desired daily experiences that we talked about, that we engage with our staff, students, and families, and would focus on us being able to really think about that strategic roadmap as we work on supporting every student, advancing equity, and improving systems. And also, really important and central to the technology piece is it would keep adequate 21st century learning by maintaining programming devices for students and staff to support those students in that learning. We didn't have devices for our kids when we went into the pandemic. I know the board and community had worked previously on a referendum in 2018, and there was great work done, and it narrowly was defeated. But then we saw part of what the effects were of not having those devices when we started into the pandemic, delivering packets by school bus to each of our students. And while packets can be useful and somewhat engaging, it's important for us to think about what is it that our 21st century learners are going to need. And if we look at, pick up any newspaper, which is usually on our phone these days, anything that we read about, you're always going to see articles about how technology is impacting our future, how it's impacting the workforce, how it's impacting learning, And it's important for us to make sure that those 21st century devices stay in the hands of our students. And it's also important for us to think about the teachers' social emotional supports that would otherwise be reduced. We have 37 positions that are currently funded through ESSER, and we would be looking at reducing over 20 positions in the district of those 37 that have impact on kids. When we think about things like reading interventionists, math interventionists, guidance counselors, digital innovation specialists, those are all things that would be supported, and we would be able to have a greater chance of keeping if the referendum does pass, and if we move forward with the referendum. Also, we are working very, very hard on our K-12 programming. So if we think about, we've worked with our staff, we've worked with our students and families on elementary programming. We have a great new schedule for elementary going into place this fall. We also have a team of people that are doing deep research on middle school model, which is basically how can you work with students in greater teams moving forward, as opposed to just having students randomly taking classes. So it's really thinking about the whole child in that critical period of middle school. But our high schools need enhancement as well. When we look at our periods of days, we have a 6-period day. And when we think about how many students have an opportunity to maybe struggle and make up a class if they have struggled, it's really hard, because if you miss a class or two, if you fail a class or two, you're suddenly not going to be on track for graduation unless you work really hard in off periods to make up that time. So thinking about what we offer for our high school scheduling could just mathematically have such an impact on our students' ability to graduate. So that's something that will be funded through this. And it also focuses on the mental health needs of our students and focuses on making sure they're college, career, and community ready. So again, when we think about that, those are the positives. Those are the things that we will have positive impact on if a referendum is voted, if the questions are voted on tonight, but also if the community supports it. And then, as I mentioned, we have, if it doesn't pass, we will likely have reductions in force throughout the district, not just teacher positions, not just staff positions, administration as well. We'd have to think about other budget cuts. But again, there would be approximately 24 positions that we would have to look at that are currently being ESSER funded, that there would no longer be funding for. Also, without the $4 million part of the referendum as part of the technology replacement, we would not have money to replace any devices. Prior to the ESSER money, the district had about $250,000 for technology. And if you think about that is nowhere near enough to even maintain the current structures and technology we have. So we're always kind of borrowing from one pot of money and moving money to another, trying to piece things together to keep things moving forward. But we finally got to a place where we're able to have devices in the hands of our kids. And so when it comes to deciding whether or not we want to keep those devices in the hands of our kids, or whether we're going to let that fade and go back to pencil and paper, it's important for us to consider those technology needs. Also, as I mentioned before, if right now we would have money budgeted for middle school and elementary changes in our schedule, but we wouldn't have the approximately $1.5 million we need for the high school new schedule. And our teachers are behind it, our staff has been interested in it. And I remember, if you remember when we were looking at middle school model change last year, there was a lot of frustration about what we're moving to. And people felt like, you know, we're not making we were making a choice that met legal standard for what we had to do for statute with the art standards, but it really was not being bold. And I remember being challenged by a teacher in a meeting saying, be bold, let's envision what we want to do, and let's go to the taxpayers and ask for what we need, rather than try and put in a schedule that we know is not in the best interest of kids. And at that time, we decided, let's see what we can come up with. And so we have our middle school schedule, we have our elementary schedule, and we need to do similar work for our high schools. And then a couple of additional considerations. Again, we've been able to bring our students into the 21st century with the technology of ESSER, and it's going away. If we don't ask for a referendum, we won't be able to move forward with those schedule of improvements. And right now, our schedule has disproportionate outcomes for historically underserved students. So the students that normally do very, very well they'll probably do okay with the current schedule we have, but the students that we have struggled with, and the students that that we have not met their needs, I believe we have an obligation to look at doing what's research-based and what's best for our kids so that we can close those achievement gaps and have high outcomes for kids on no matter what their zip code or no matter what their background. Again, we're going to be asking our taxpayers for a modest investment in the schools to keep our modernized technology and those student supports. And if you think about it, a $200,000 homeowner in Duluth would pay approximately $1.77 more a week in taxes. So it'd be an increase of $1.77 per week, which would be approximately $93 annual. So that is an impact, and we realize that many people sometimes struggle with their finances, and it's hard to make ends meet. But we believe that this relatively frugal investment in our schools is going to have dramatic payoff for student outcomes. And we also think about how it impacts the business community and community at large. When we have business owners, when they look at coming to Duluth, they look for three things. What I hear from the Chamber of Commerce, what I hear from business developers, is there are three things that impact students, that impact businesses coming to the Duluth area. And those are businesses that employ people and create a greater tax base. And those three things are, we hear about housing, we hear about childcare, but one of the most important things that we hear about is they want to make sure that we have high quality schools. And I believe we have good schools in Duluth, but this gives us an opportunity to have great schools for Duluth, even better schools than we have now. So by doing so, I think that it's important for us to really weigh this carefully and consider what we have moving forward. And again, if we think particularly about the replacement cycle for technology, that burdens the entire school budget. It's not just paying for technology. When we pay for technology, when we piece together what we need for technology, oftentimes we're taking that out of other budget areas and other departments that will now be able to more fully fund those departments and think about things like class size, curriculum replacement. We see our textbooks here at the back of the library, and some of those textbooks are over 30 years old, right? And I think it's important for us to make sure that we have the resources we need for our kids when we think about those desired daily experiences and our strategic roadmap. And finally, it would be very unfair. We say we're fiscally responsible, but it wouldn't be fiscally responsible to go to the taxpayers and ask for something unless we're working very hard to put our own financial house in order. And we have been working on that very hard. When we think about what you as a school board have been able to do over the past several years, it's very highly impactful. And when we think about that, we have a healthy fund balance. This has led to an improved bond rating and a reasonable fiscal cushion if we come upon hard times. If Executive Director Zunich were here tonight, she would be talking about how we're finally in a place where we do have a little bit of cushion, but that it's basically the minimum amount of cushion that a district would want to need of our size. It's not like we have a massive savings account. We have what a school district of our size would need for a fund balance. And we also are working on our facilities. When we think about, we were in the extremely outdated district office at Historical Central. Beautiful, beautiful building. But we would have had to put $50 million in just to bring it up to code, not to even make it a better place for learning and working. But instead, we've been able to build, instead of having the deferred maintenance put into that building, we've been able to put together $32 million towards a new facility with a much more reasonable financial footprint for running it. The facilities building we have, the new district office, and the new bus garage are great opportunities, and they're highly, they're reasonable in scope. So in fact, we're finding that in some places it's a little small, but they're really high quality investments for our district. And also, now that we have some of those areas, we're able to diversify and get rid of some of the properties we no longer need. So we're putting, you'll see some of the resolutions tonight for the transportation building on Superior, as well as looking at the storage building on Garfield. We'll be able to move out of those buildings and be able to put those funds probably in a new facility, a new building that we've talked about, that will be purchased and upgraded at a very, very reasonable cost. Right now, we have levies out there for over $500,000, $650,000 a year in levies for different spaces that we rent. And by purchasing a building for, approximately what we pay in leases each year, and then making some upgrades, we'll be able to save money for the community of Duluth, and we'll be able to reduce our lease levy authority tax needs by $10 per year. So there's going to be decrease in taxes in that area as well. So again, it's important we put our financial house in order if we're going to ask the taxpayers for a deeper investment in our schools to make them current with current technology and current programming that we need. So any questions, I'd be available for them.
Not really a question, but you really just summarized what we've had a couple different committee of the whole meetings on this past month, and was it back in May? I'm forgetting what month it is. So you did a really good summary of what we really have heard the last few months, and so I appreciate that. I appreciate that we've had the opportunity with Simone, our financial director, as well as others to ask a lot of questions in terms of the finances. And I appreciate you highlighting that previous boards and over the last few years, we've really worked to get our house in order already. And to get that healthy fund balance you mentioned, which then allowed us to have a good bond rating, and the importance of that. And so I appreciate the summary, but I just really want to make sure, I guess, the public and everybody recognizes this is not new information that you just presented to us, but you summarized it very well from the couple long meetings we had with a number of other presenters. So.
Thank you. And I think it's also important to consider what would this mean moving forward, because we want to make sure that if we're moving forward with a referendum, that it's very, very well supported by the administration and by others who would be working in that direction. And so that would be something that would be a major body of work between now through the November election. And so it is, as our school board who directs me and works with us, if this is something that we believe in, then knowing that and having that direction from the board gives me direction for us in the district to move forward. And we do have plenty of support. We'd be working with Baird, we'd be working with a number of different people that can provide deep support to the district as far as communication. We want to engage the community because we want voters to be well informed. We've always talked about transparency. We want to make sure that we're communicating out exactly what we're going to do, why we're doing it, what it'll look like, and then we leave it to the voters to make up their minds as far as whether they feel that the investment in the future is worthwhile.
Member Deere.
I just want to maybe personalize and contextualize this as we think about moving forward with the levy. I have a son who will soon be entering the 4th grade, and part of his experience in school this last year was, as we all did, was our little coding mouse. So because of the investments in technology that we've made in this district, our students in the K-5 elementary schools are getting some very early hands-on experience with coding done through our media specialists and done through some work, some hard work throughout the district. What will continue to make it possible for our K-5 students to be able to start with things like coding and technology is that we have a way to fund it that is long-term, and we can make those investments. So when we go to the public, I fully support moving forward with this referendum. I think it's important to think about exactly what experiences we are giving our kids. And so what I want to see is the continuation of things like coding in the 3rd grade that is offered to all of our students across the district and comes back now to what we've been working hard on, which is excellence, equity, belonging, and academic excellence. So that's really what we're talking about, these experiences for our kids with technology in the classroom being taught by educated, excited, amazing staff. So those are the stories that I want to get out there in the Duluth Public Schools, what our individual kids are going to get to continue to do and build upon this because the voters of our community. So that's really what I want people to remember. This is experiences for our kids in this first idea of workforce development for those businesses that are going to come to Duluth. So you summed it up amazing, but I just want to put that idea of all those little third graders probably doing much better with the coding mouse than any of their school board members did, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're going to bring to our kids. It's not just Chromebooks, but it's coding and it's access to better technology and better learning opportunities. So I want to tell you my support and thank you for all the work you've done on it.
Agreed, and I think those personal stories are very, very critical. Also think about some of the things that we've heard about related to needs for enhancements of some of our facilities areas, theaters and things like that, where the sound systems are getting very old and need upgrades, and those are very expensive upgrades. This would help with things like that and really allow us to offer equitable access to those types of facilities throughout the whole district.
Member Oswald. We can't, it's a little low. How can I help? Hold them right now. It's better.
It's done that, so.
Okay, I'll try to talk louder.
There you go, it's good.
That's good.
I'm yelling in my own house, but that's okay. I just want to say that we learned how invaluable extra money is with the ESSER funds, and I don't mean extra because that's truly money that we should be having to provide for our kids. And knowing that we've had this money and that it's getting spent and it isn't replaceable, that leads us to want to continue to enhance the education that we're getting used to being able to provide and meeting needs. And the only way we can do that is to find replacement funding. And by voting to put these referendum questions on the ballot, it's not voting for, or it's not us saying that we are imposing a tax increase. We're letting the public decide if this is valuable to them. And I think we can make the case that it is extremely valuable, not only to our students, but for our achievement, for our graduation rates, for the overall experiences that we're able to provide for our staff. And it's extremely important. And it's also fulfilling what the public has provided feedback to us in our strategic planning process. It's to give them the experiences that they want to have in our district. And so I totally support putting this on the ballot and letting the public tell us what kind of education system they want for their kids and for our community. It's extremely important that the public does have a choice to tell us with their vote. And so I'll be supporting this.
Thank you, Member Oswald. It's great to hear your voice. We can hear you. Other board members, we'll also have an opportunity to share more of our ideas about this potential when we are looking at the resolution. But certainly we can share ideas and support and reactions to Superintendent Magus's report tonight as well.
I was just going to piggyback off of what Member Eater said and what Superintendent Magus said. When I think about the technology and how important it is, it's not only a technology issue, it's an equity issue, because we need to make sure that all of our students have access to these resources. We need to make sure that all of our students are competitive when it comes to colleges, jobs, trades, not only in our community, but all around the world. And so that's one reason I'll be supporting it. And then another thing that we haven't talked about too is because we're gonna be, if we can pass the referendum and get money for our technologies, you know, if the pandemic taught us anything, is that our schools are a critical support system for our students, not just academically, but socio-emotionally as well. And we need to make sure that we keep our counselors, our interventionists, our MTSS staff in our schools, because they're the ones that are there, you know, every day meeting those needs, not just academically, but socially.
Thank you. So that concludes my superintendent's report.
Come back and get that now then.
I'll come back. I wasn't sure if more.
The next item on our agenda is just a review of the upcoming schedule of events that Executive Secretary Paquette always shares with us. And so our schedule of meetings, next week we have no meetings. And the week of July 31st through August 4th, we have a Thursday 4:30 work session. And we're working on sending you the agenda. Some of it will be on this topic now, and some other work sessions that we feel are important as we go into the year. And then the week of August 7th through the 11th, we have this one meeting that we hope is going to be short, like we're just anticipating August 9th to have HR policy and COW, maybe from a half hour to 40 minutes each, and then be able to allow our staff and our leaders to focus more on the beginning of school. And hopefully that will serve the needs that our district has. But then I also know that there could be a time for some closed sessions on properties or on evaluations, or just the need to gather because of something needed for the opening of school. So that is the schedule of meetings. Moving on to our next item on our agenda is the reports of standing committees. And so I'll turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Bonds for the Committee of the Whole meeting.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Chair Lowell. During the committee meeting, there were two big presentations provided. I want to give thanks to, or say thank you to Jason Crane, Executive Director for Student Services, and Assistant Director Laura Thurston. They both did an excellent job of providing an overview of everything related to special eds, from the definition of what is special education to the various categories that students are supported in within the area of special education, to the funding sources and funding streams that we have to support our students. So I want to just thank again that team for putting together a very detailed presentation that I would encourage the community and others to take a look at. He and Mrs. Thurston did an excellent job. The second presentation was provided by Baird, related again to further discussions related to our financial status and position in the district, and opened up more discussions or additional discussions related to referendum, and shared some sample questions that led to the questions that will be presented later on regarding the potential referendum for technology and other programming. And again, that was a very detailed, thorough presentation, a lot of great questions asked by the board and of administration, allowing us to really share some input on why we need these essential resources to continue with the programming to improve outcomes for kids. So two presentations, but very detailed and robust.
Thank you. Is there any questions about the Committee of the Whole meeting that was held July 13th, of 2023, July 13th, and for our community watching as well, that would be a great meeting to re-watch or watch again for, you know, information about special education and also information about the referendum. Are you taking it because you're the next committee?
No, because I was going to make a comment.
Okay.
Thank you, Romaine, Mike. Yeah, I just, as it's been said, really, as a board member, greatly appreciated Jason and Laura presenting in such great detail and highlighting successes, highlighting challenges, highlighting what our future with special ed looks like in the district. And it was just really great. And I'm going to say it, we happen to have 3 school board candidates sitting in the audience, and that will be excellent YouTube to really review in detail, because our district is really recognized for some outstanding work that we do on special education with our students. And I think it really summarized it in many ways, as well as talked about the challenges that a district of our size has faced and how we're working to better the services we provide to every child. So just really a comment.
Good night. Yes, thank you, Member Lofkamp. I guess what I would add is that you don't have to listen to the YouTube. Yes, it's a good way to go about it, but it might be a little more time consuming. I would just suggest that the community and our school board candidates look at Boardbook and just go through the slides that were presented by Jason Crane and our special ed department, and then also what Baird presented to the board to help us understand and give us guidance on these school board referendums. So again, if you don't have the time or you aren't able to watch it on YouTube, just go to Boardbook and then look at those slides, and you can do that really for all of our committee meetings. Thank you.
Great points. Any other comments on our committee of the whole meeting, which we all agree is where a lot of presentations and information is shared?
Just a quick comment, and I don't need the microphone, but I know Heather is going to switch the owl as we transition to the next committee report, and so you'll hear the owl hoot. There is nothing in the room to alarm you. It's just our owl.
So our next committee meeting report is our HR business, and I'll bring it to Member Kirby.
Thank you. Dr. Eder was not present, and so I will try and summarize our meeting. We had a presentation by Mr. Bob St. Arnold from Marsh McLennan Agency about our insurance policies. And the good news is that our premium went from $1,164,000 down to $851,000 for the next year. This was largely driven by his, I can't think of the right one. Pardon?
Was it workers' comp?
Right, no, I'm trying to think. His suggestion, I guess, that we increase our workers' comp deduction to $100,000 from $2,500, which significantly reduced our overall premium. Marsh McLennan looked at, I think, 7 different insurance agencies. So this was not the only one that was looked at, and this was by far the best. Our cybersecurity premiums are about the same. Our property is up a little bit because of our new buildings, but our workers' comp is down because we have reduced claims. And Mr. St. Arnold said that because of our very, very good history recently, that he thinks that we can certainly handle the risk that's entitled by taking a higher deductible. In 6 of the past 7 years, we have done very well in our insurance and workers' comp, so that's the reason. We also have very good what's called loss control services. The staff is working to minimize injuries and risks, especially among paraprofessionals, and this is also a reason that we can do this. So the frequency and number of claims was looked at, and that's the reason for the reduction in premium. And he suggested that we do this if we were a business. He said it would be a no-brainer, that he would advise that we take this, take on this risk and reduce the claims. Moving on, HR is looking at hiring more custodial personnel still. There is a $300 bonus for new paraprofessionals.
For the extended summer.
For the extended summer. We have a tentative agreement with the paraprofessional bargaining unit, and all other bargaining units are scheduled, so that's moving ahead. Well, child nutrition, we still have an outstanding debt of $107,000 this year, which is much higher than we had in the past. One more attempt will be made to collect this, and then what will happen is yet to be determined. Let's see. We talked about the long-term facilities maintenance plan. No huge projects are planned. Technology we've discussed. Transportation, we have new software going on. We have 2 new buses that are present. There are 2 new positions that we are looking at. One is the job description for facilities coordinator, and this will centralize all 14 sites. This will be funded through Community Ed after the ESSER funding runs out, so it's not going to require any new funding. We also are looking at a new family and community ed engagement coordinator, which many other districts have, which will coordinate family stakeholders and the partnerships we have in the district. This too will be funded through ESSER for 1 year, and then through Community Ed and Title I funds, as I remember. That's correct. Okay. We looked at many change orders, and even though there were many, we looked at the biggest ones, we are still under budget for our new facilities building. And we were supposed to get a certification of occupancy on Tuesday. Did that come through?
It did not. So there was a few items that the city flagged. They're diligently working on those this week in hopes that we will have something within the next week.
All right, and I think that is those are the major things. We spent a lot of time talking about the insurance policy, which probably took up most of the meeting. Thank you. That's the end of the report.
Any questions, comments, reflections? I'm looking at even Member Oswald, and I'm not quite sure what the owl is doing, but we're good. Can you hear us, Member Oswald? Okay. I was able to attend the HR business, and that was great. It's gonna go right to you, so you can just hold it. Okay. I don't think I need the mic right now. Again, I think even when we talk about the work that our district is doing, the active communication that's happening between our leaders and our needs, and even the presentation by Marsh McClellan looking at a way to reduce our premiums to give us more opportunity for more dollars is what I've seen from the leaders in our district, looking for every way to use our finances to best meet the needs of our district. And so the presentation in the insurance realm, was really a welcome addition to how we can do that. As is the Baird presentation we got at Cal about looking at the first question on the referendum. So now turning it over to our policy committee report.
I actually did want to just do a quick comment on the HR department update, and just really thank HR Director Teresa Severance for, again, the report, the very detailed report. That's always really helpful, and I just wanted to really lift up. I was excited to see the August 21st new staff orientation coming up, and the number of people that will be participating in that you know of so far. And then I was excited about the exit interview procedures that you are implementing so that we can better serve and support our staff. So I just wanted to lift that up as well. And and also just the really creative ways that I know you and your staff have been doing recruitment throughout the district for the many district staff. And the last thing I just wanted to hold up is I saw that you went to the Be Well conference in Minneapolis, and I just really have appreciated the work that we're doing to support our own staff on mental health and other well-being of to support our own employees, especially as we're coming off the pandemic, but just in general. So appreciated those points that you made in your report. So thank you.
Just a quick note, the owl is not working properly, so it's doing the best we can, and I apologize, Member Oswald, for the partial view of the board.
You could just get me? Is that what I'm saying?
I'm just staring at you from overall. I can see this half of the
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
everybody beyond. So, yeah.
I'll lean back a little bit too.
Okay, so on Tuesday, July 11th, we had our monthly policy meeting, and reviewing policies is a key role of our school board, and just really want to thank the district staff, our leadership teams, and many staff across the district who help bring the policies in front of us. Policies that we review are often model policies from the Minnesota School Board Association and the Superintendent's Association. Most often are tied to a lot of state laws and statutes, and as a board, we usually have 2 readings of every policy, so policies are talked about 4 different times before we take a vote on them. So this month, we did not have any additional policies for first reading, but for the second reading, we had 3. We had policy 503, student attendance, and as we talked about last month, a lot of new language in the student attendance policy, and also just a lot of good supports in there for mental health and treatment when students may need to not be in school for those reasons. So really appreciate the new language in the student attendance policy. And then the second policy, 102, equal educational opportunity. And again, a lot of updates in this policy, particularly around legalities with Title IX and Title VI. And also, I appreciated that Director Larva also brought to us at this policy meeting the new changes that happen legislatively that impact this policy too. So you will have noted that this is a little different than the first reading, just under section E, which had the new language related to the legislative changes. So that was the only difference from when we looked at it. And if you go to the legal references, it follows Minnesota State Statute 121A04, athletic programs and sex discrimination. So that was the only change as we have the second reading on equal educational opportunity. And then the third is 504, student dress and appearance. And again, many staff as well as students were a part of that discussion with bringing forward the student dress and appearance policy. And the only additional thing I'd want to, so there was a lot of language changes as well, but the additional thing I wanted to mention under that is, let me find it. Sorry about that. Under Section 3 procedures, there's 2 paragraphs, and we had some discussion about taking out one piece of this, but the policy committee in discussion decided we would keep both paragraphs in, and so we wanted to, let's see, it reflected the regulation change, but we wanted to keep both of those paragraphs in rather than just remove one. So that was a discussion around the student dress and appearance, and then there were no informational regulations. Before I jump to the last section on summary of policies, I just wanted to check with my board colleagues, Paul and Sadhom and Amber Sadowski, if there's anything additional you'd want to say about that discussion on the second readings.
Well, on the student dress and appearance, that one you want to go to the YouTube video. If you want to see what student policies were for dress codes in 1969. I'll leave it at that.
I think I need to say one other thing about that. As policy chair, yes, we so appreciated Member Stanhope bringing back an article from 1969 that he found about, what dress codes were like at that time. It was not even humorous, it was humorous. It was so humorous it was not humorous, I don't know. So, anything else?
Yeah, I would just add, I can speak loud, I guess, but on that note, just acknowledging all the work that went into revising this policy. I think it's really important that we pay attention to these things and make sure that we're supporting our students the best that we can. And I think this is really important, and I appreciate all the work that, like you said, that the students put in, but also our staff. And when you read that policy, yes, it was funny, but it also just shows the importance of evolving and making sure that we're reviewing our policies. So it kind of highlights the work that we do on the committee. So thank you, Member Sam.
Okay. And then the last section was just a summary of the policies that we have approved this year. And again, our school board year is July 1st through June 30th. And we, as a committee, have done this every year as we've just kind of reviewed the work that we did. And we have passed 26 policies. So excellent work, board, on that. In a number of the different series that we have 9 different series. And so we had policies in most of those. And also we really passed some really forward-thinking policies like our gender inclusion policy, our overdose policy, just really moving those forward. And so I thank you all for moving forward with those policies. At the board meeting, or at the policy meeting, we also did just recognize that we, so many of these policies are because of the hard work, again, as Member Sadowski said, of our staff that review, that seek input from staff across the district, that seek input from students, seek input from community experts on different policies. And so just really greatly appreciate the passing 26 policies. It is really wonderful, but it's because of a lot of great work that was put in. And again, many policies too that we passed are now part of our new handbook that parents will be receiving and staff will be receiving as well. So that is my report, and the next policy meeting is on August 9th at 3:30. Thank you.
I'd like to make one more comment on policy. Please. Just in addition to what Member Lawford talked about, The work of the policy committee, we have a board operational plan, and during our workshop in August, we'll be doing further work on that plan to make sure that it's updated for the coming year. And part of the plan calls on us to focus on revising and looking at a quarter of our policies each year. And I'm proud to say that we met that goal and probably exceeded that goal this year. And it's been a while since we've been able to do that. There's been great work done in past years, but we had nearly double the number of policies go through this year as we had last. So it's not only the work of the policy committee is really important, but having that plan for us as a board and being really thoughtful about what is our governance work and how are we accomplishing it, and how are we holding ourselves accountable has really been important to us as well.
And to further that lift of our policy, I think that MSBA is offering, I could be wrong, but I'm thinking, and I don't have time to just click on MSBA if anybody else does, that there's a couple of things. There's been a lot of dialogue from MSBA that says, hold on to your hats because policies are really coming fast and furious because of the need for them, but also the need because of some of the legislative updates. So I think the MSBA is offering a virtual session just in the next week or so on policies potentially needing to be done because of legislative. Do you know about that more?
Yeah, and as I know I've mentioned at other meetings too, there's kind of certain times of the year where we will get updates to policies or new policies, and often because so many of our policies are tied to state statutes and new laws, the NSBA, our association, will do the work to bring it forward to us, and we usually get those updates, some sooner than others, but at our summer seminar, which is coming up on the 1st of August, and because many of the changes might need to be implemented also by August 1st or within a short time after the legislative session. So I don't know the date that you're referring to, but yeah, there is a policy training, and then we will get more information at that summer seminar as well.
And again, I think it's, as a former teacher in our district too, I know that teachers focus in on a number of our policies, and I'm glad that there is policy to support our staff's need in the classroom and in work environment, and the fact that we've worked hard in policy to bring them back and to update is just also helping our staff as well. So thank you. So moving on our agenda is the number 10 is general board committee updates, and our community, we'd like to tell you that we sit on other committees besides the ones that are connected to the work of the school district. We sit on some community committees, we sit on some intergovernmental committees, we sit on other Duluth community committees and boards, and just this is an opportunity if there's anything that a member needs to update or wants to share about anything that in the last month or so. It's kind of a quiet time for even our city and other committees that we sit on to have meetings, but if there was anything, that's where we have it. Seeing none, we'll go on to number 11, our consent agenda. And we have a consent agenda, and on our consent agenda are things like our approval of minutes from past school board meetings. We have approval of some action items with HR staffing and with some fundraisers, and we will have a number of things on there from our contracts. We have items from our committee of the whole meeting with diploma requests. We have approval of policy readings, our second readings that Member Loeffler-Kemp just highlighted. We have the approval of our monthly committee of the whole and our policy committee and our human resource. So I'm looking for a motion to accept our consent agenda.
So move.
Member Eder makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seconded by Member Kirby. Having no discussion on our consent agenda or questions, Member Zadowski, Clerk Zadowski will take a roll call vote.
Member Eder.
Yes.
Member Kirby.
Yes.
Member Lawford-Kemp.
Yes.
Member Lofall.
Yes.
Member Oswald.
Yes.
I vote yes. Member Sandholm.
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
So we have a consent agenda that passed 7-0. We're moving on to number 12. These are our resolutions from our committee reports. And so, as is our practice, we will read the resolutions and vote on them. There are 7 of them. So our first resolution, Member Sandholm.
Resolution B7233974, FY 2025 Long-Term Facilities Maintenance, LTFM, 10-year plan. I move it to be resolved by the School Board of Independent School District number 709, St. Louis County, State of Minnesota, that the FY 2025 Long-Term Facilities Maintenance 10-year plan is approved. I move resolution B7233974.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Roll call vote.
Member Eder.
Yes.
Member Kirby.
Yes.
Member Lawford-Kemp.
Yes.
Member Lofall.
Yes.
Member Oswald.
Yes.
I vote yes. And Member Sandholm.
Yes.
Passes 7-2.
Resolution passes. Our next resolution, Member Zadowski.
Sure, I move resolution B-7-23-3975, FY 24 commercial insurance renewal. I move that it be resolved by the School Board of Independent School District 709, St. Louis County, State of Minnesota, that the FY 2024 commercial insurance renewal is approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Member Sandholm seconds. Is there any discussion?
Just a point based on a question that was brought forward by a board member prior to this. Would there be a change in the way that we process workers' compensation, or would we, would it be harder for people to make claims of worker compensation? And my response was no, that our process would remain the same, and that we've actually just been able to economize and be more thoughtful, more proactive related to safety, which has dropped down a number of claims, and that's why we're moving forward. But we have the same customer service and same level of support for students who have worker comp issues.
So we're ready for the roll call vote.
Perfect.
And thank you, Member Oswald, for bringing that question forward to me.
Member Eder.
Yes.
Member Kirby.
Yes.
Member Lawford-Kemp.
Yes.
Member Lofall.
Yes.
Member Oswald.
Yes.
I vote yes. And Member Sandholm.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to our next resolution, Member Lawford-Kemp.
Just a quick question on that who seconded that resolution?
Member Sandholm.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I move resolution B7183976, resolution acceptance of donations to Duluth Public Schools, whereas Minnesota Statute 46503 requires a school district to accept donations by resolution expressed in the terms prescribed by the donor in full, and whereas acceptance of the donations in accordance with the donor's terms is in the best interest of the Duluth Public Schools. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Duluth Public Schools does accept the below described donations from said organizations in accordance with the terms set forth herein. Be it further resolved that the Duluth Public Schools wishes to extend its grateful appreciation to these various individuals and organizations. And there are 17 different donations to Laura MacArthur, to Lester Park, to Myers-Wilkins, to East High School, a number of them to Denfeld, a range of different amounts. And we just greatly appreciate all of the public support for our public schools. So I move resolution B7183976.
Is there a second?
Second.
Member Eder seconds it. All those will take a roll call vote. Oh, and Member Oswald has a comment.
I just wanted to point out that the donations to Denville High School are for public school stadium, and I guess it's more of a question, is that for the renaming of public school stadium?
It does say on our resolution, for public school stadium. It
I
says,
just didn't know if that was specific to the renaming of the stadium, or if it's just general donations.
I think it's general donations when it says to the public school stadium.
That's the restriction, yeah.
Can I ask
So-
a quick question?
Yep.
The HBCU trip, what was that?
HB,
Just for Lower Mac, I'm just
For
curious,
Royal
because I
MacArthur.
think of historically black colleges and universities, is that,
And that's exactly what it's,
okay,
acronym is for, historical black colleges.
awesome.
And so what's happening is there have been several fundraisers that have happened related to a big trip that's going to happen for our students. And so one of our integration specialists, not Mark, I'm thinking of Mr. Grant, not Mr. Grant.
Mr. Harris.
Mr. Harris, thank you. Calvin Harris. Cal Harris is taking lead on, thank you, on organizing that opportunity for students. And so again, there's been additional fundraising opportunities, and we received these donations, and there's another donation that you're going to see later that we're receiving.
That's awesome. Great, thank you for that clarification.
that's great. So now we're ready to vote on this resolution, and Member Sadowski will do roll call.
Member Eater,
Yes.
Member Kirby,
Yes.
Member Lafayette,
Yes.
Member Lofall,
Yes.
Member Oswald,
Yes.
I vote yes, and Member Sandholm.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0 on our donations. Our next resolution, Member Kirby will share.
I move resolution E7-23-3973, designation of identified official with authority, the mnemonic of which is Iowa, for Head Start. Whereas the Minnesota Department of Education requires that school districts annually designate an identified official with authority to comply with state access control security standard 1.0, which states that all user access right to Minnesota state systems must be reviewed and recertified at least annually. The Iowa will assign job duties and authorize external users access to Minnesota Department of Education secure systems for their local education agency. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the superintendent recommends the board authorize Cheryl Williams, Head Start Director, to act as the Iowa for the Head Start organization, Duluth Head Start 7010-84-001. So I move resolution E-7-23-3973.
Is there a second?
Second.
Member Loeffler Kemp seconds. We'll vote by roll call.
Member Eater,
Yep.
Member Kirby,
Yes?
Member Lafayette,
Yes.
Member Lofall,
Yes.
Member Oswald,
Yes.
I vote yes, and Member Sandholm.
Yes.
Our next resolution up is Member Eater.
I move resolution SP-7-23-3977, school board member attendance at the 2023 MSBA Summer Leadership Seminar. Resolved that Independent School District 709, St. Louis County, Minnesota pay costs incurred as per district policy for school board members to attend the 2023 MSBA Summer Leadership Seminar, resolution SP-7-23-3977.
Is there a second? Second. Member Sandholm seconds. Any discussion?
I just want to comment and express my appreciation for the board for their heavy involvement in MSBA. I know it takes time to go through that professional learning, and I think as we have considered, new people potentially coming onto the board in the coming months, thinking about the MSBA opportunities to learn about board governance processes, it's a great opportunity. And again, I want to say thanks to all the board members for all the participation in so many events over the past.
Thank you. Roll call vote.
Member Eater,
Yes.
Member Kirby,
Yes?
Member Lafayette Kemp,
Yes.
Member Lofall,
Yes.
Member Oswald.
Yes.
Perfect, I vote yes, and Member Sandholm.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Our motion passes 7-0. Our next resolution is Member Sandholm.
I move resolution B 7233978, authorizing the sale of real property with the street addresses of 3200 West Superior Street and 330 Garfield Avenue, each in Duluth, Minnesota. Be it resolved, the school board authorizes upon the identification of a buyer or buyers and agreement to all terms and conditions of any one or more sales, the sale of the real property defined for purpose of this resolution as parcel A and parcel B, which is legally described on Exhibit A here too. Be it further resolved that although authorized hereunder, no sale of parcel A or parcel B or both shall occur until the school board has considered a written purchase agreement for such sale and authorized the school board chair to execute the purchase agreement and to sign all other documents required to carry out the sale and conveyance of the property and the performance and obligations of the district under the purchase agreement. I move resolution B 7233978.
Is there a second?
Second.
Member Loeffler Kemp seconds. Is there discussion or questions? Member Loeffler Kemp.
Really just a comment. I appreciated as a board member the background and the discussions we were able to have around that led us to this resolution in other sessions. So we have all received a lot of good background information to lead us to support this resolution, and I just greatly appreciated all board members being able to come to some additional meetings to get that background information. So thank you for that.
We appreciate it, and I think, as I mentioned earlier in my superintendent's report, this is an example of the type of getting our financial house in order that we're doing. We no longer need the transportation center because we have a new transportation center that is opening, and when it comes to Garfield, it's considered valued in the Duluth community because of its location on the port, and we are able to replace basically take care of our facilities and storage needs in other ways that will be more fiscally prudent than holding onto the Garfield property. So I thank the board for allowing us to move forward in this direction to be responsible to the taxpayers.
And I appreciate that further explanation that this is authorizing 3200 West Superior Street is our current transportation bus garage area, and our 330 Garfield Avenue is a warehouse where we have storage and equipment there as well. So we have moved and seconded, so Member Sadowski will ask for a vote.
Member Durkee.
Yes.
Member Kirby.
Yes.
Member Loeffler Kemp.
Yes.
Member Lopal.
Yes.
Member Oswald.
Yes.
I vote yes, and Member Sandholm.
Yes.
This resolution passes 7-0. Our last resolution tonight is the resolution B-7-23-3979. This is our resolution that we will vote on for the levy and the referendum. And we've kind of divided it up because I think it's important. It's 13 pages. We're not going to read all 13, but I think it is important to read into the record the first two. But this is on board book, and as we vote tonight on this, this will also become a full public document. It is completely here too for our community or our audience members to look at. There's a copy of it in our book. So Resolution B-7-23-3979, resolution relating to the issuance of general obligation bonds and authorizing a capital project levy of the school district and calling an election thereon. Be it resolved by the school board of Independent School District number 709, Duluth, St. Louis County, Minnesota, referred to as the district, as follows. And this is section 1, findings, and Member Loeffler Kemp will read number 8.
A, The board has proposed to issue its general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $21,800,000 for the purpose of providing funds to refinance for general fund operational savings, the district's refunding certificates of participation, Series 2019A dated May 29, 2019, and refunding certificates of participation, Series 2021B, both of which financed improvements to and equipment for the district's facilities throughout the district. The question on the borrowing of funds for these purposes shall be question number 1 on the district ballot at the special election as hereafter defined.
And section B is with member Peter.
The board determines and declares that it is necessary and expedient to authorize a capital project levy of 4.687% times the net tax capacity of the district. The proposed capital project levy authorization will raise approximately $5,290,455.87 for taxes payable in 2024, the first year it is to be levied, and would be authorized for 10 years. The estimated total cost of the project to be funded over that time period is approximately $52,904,558.70. The additional revenue from the proposed capital project levy authorization will provide funds for the acquisition, installation, replacement, support, and maintenance of software licenses, computers, improved technology equipment, networks, infrastructure, and the cost of technology related to personnel and training. The question on the authorization of the capital project levy shall be question 2 on the district ballot at the special election.
And looking at, under findings C, Member Zadowski.
As the portion of the project described in section 1A above were subject to the Commissioner of Education's review and comment in 2007, no additional review and comment is required by the Commissioner of Education for issuance of the proposed general obligation bonds.
And then going into section 2, the approval of the questions. So the questions for issuing the bonds and authorizing the capital project levy shall be submitted to the qualified voters of the district at a special election, which is hereby called and directed to be held in conjunction with the school district's general election to be held on Tuesday, November 7, 2023. The special election. Such questions shall be substantially in the following form. And then on page 2 is the way that the questions would look on a ballot. And again, this will be on our website. It is also here tonight, and we will use this as we communicate with our community. But the school district ballot question number 1, approval of school district bond referendum. Shall independent school district number 709 Duluth be authorized to issue its general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $21,800,000 to provide funds to refinance for general fund operational savings, the district's refunding certificates of participation, Series 2019A, dated May 29, 2019, and refunding certificates of participation, Series 2021B, dated March 9, 2021, both of which financed improvements to and equipment for the district's facilities throughout the district. That's a yes or no question. By voting yes on this ballot question, you are voting for a property tax increase. The second question on the ballot, school district ballot question number 2, approval of school district's capital project levy referendum. The School Board of Independent School District number 709 Duluth has proposed a capital project levy authorization of 4.687% times the net tax capacity of the school district. The proposal capital project levy authorization will raise approximately $502,455.87 for taxes payable in 2024. The projects to be funded over that time period is approximately $52,904,558.70. $904,558.70. The additional revenue from the proposed capital project levy authorization will provide funds for the acquisition, installation, replacement, support, and maintenance of software licenses, computers, improved technology equipment, networks, infrastructure, and costs of technology related to personnel and training. And there's a yes or a no. Shall the capital project levy proposed by the Board of Independent School District number 709 Duluth be approved? By approving yes on this ballot question, you are voting for a property tax increase. So that's what the resolution reads. Did we have a second?
We did not yet.
Is there a second to this? Member Eater. And is there conversation, discussion, question? Member Loeffler-Kemp. And this is another opportunity to share levy concerns or questions or support.
Thank you, and just again, I have appreciated the last couple months and last week, the further background information financially, as well as just on referendums in general that we received, so thank you again for that. I wanted to just kind of clarify, I remember my first levy I was involved with as a parent. I had the question about, wow, those are really wordy questions, and I have since learned, but it might be just helpful that we're required to have this language in the questions, and that is why it's going to be so important, the education work that happens with our community around the referendum questions, but it's required that we have the language like this. And Superintendent Magus, I'm not sure if you want to add anything additional to that, but I just wanted to make sure that was highlighted. And I am looking forward to supporting this referendum like I have all past referendums since I've been a parent in the district.
So I'll comment briefly but loudly from my seat. I agree. It's important for us to make sure that people understand what it is that's being asked, and in particular because this is more nuanced, that both questions are very much intertwined. It'll be important for us as we get the narrative out to the community that they really understand what this means for the schools, and that a yes vote on each of the questions is really critical for us to be able to support our students. Thank you.
Other comments? So I just want to share too that as others on my board have shared that I will be voting yes to support this, and I feel like I want to share with my community that I think a referendum or a vote to support the referendum for me personally is like a vote that is for our community. Our schools are important to all aspects of Duluth's community, and so by supporting it, I am saying that I think it's a great vote for our community, and I'm extremely excited about the opportunity to go out and have conversation with our community. This is just another opportunity to inform and educate and celebrate with our community the great things going on. I agree with Member Eater that stories are important, and we have stories because we're parents of kids in our district. We have stories because we have former retired teachers that spent many, many years of their career in our district. So our stories will be rich. All of our stories as board members too, about why we support it and why we'll work on it. And I want to celebrate the emotional part of a levy. And yes, we will have to discuss things about finances and about where we're going to use the money. But again, it's an emotional commitment to say our kids are important, the future of our city is important to us, and that I just sense and see a really bright future. And I'm excited about our leadership's ability to share all this information with us. We've had great presentations, and like Member Loeffler-Kemp said, we've been looking at, as board members, some of us have been on the board through other referendums and levies, and we just know the importance of it. And so I want to share with all of our stakeholders my excitement and about the district's future and the future of our Duluth scholars. So thank you. Thanks for all the information. And again, be bold. We want to be bold. So, Member Zadowski, it's time for a roll call vote.
Perfect. Member Derek Eater.
Yes.
Member Kirby.
Yes.
Member Loeffler-Kemp.
Yes.
Member Lothal.
Yes.
Member Oswald.
Yes.
I vote yes. Member Sandholm.
Yes.
And I get chill, this one carries 7-0 to go forward with that. It's a lot of work, but it's joyful work. It's joyful, passionate, heartfelt work going forward, so thank you. Going on to our agenda, and we are at number 14. It is there is a 2022-23 harassment complaint report, and this is a policy that asks us to report back and to share the district's harassment policies, and there were 4 set out for the year and 4 resolutions to harassment policies and complaints in our district. And so are there any further need for that? That's the last item on our agenda. And so number 15, I didn't look at Member Oswald for that last agenda, but we're good. So going to 15, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Member Eater makes the motion and Member Oswald seconds the motion. So it's a roll call vote for adjournment.
Member Derek Eater.
Yes.
Member Kirby.
Yes?
Member Loeffler Kemp.
Yes.
Member Lothal.
Yes.
Member Oswald.
I vote yes to bringing your dog to work.
I vote yes. And Member Sandholm.
Yes.
Our school board meeting is adjourned.